We'll get started for those of us who are here. So let's start by saying hi. My name is Jen Bentley. I'm the Alumni Advancement Officer for the Faculty of Health. And part of my role is engaging alumni and providing great opportunities like this for our students to connect with our alumni as well. But I would like to begin by acknowledging that much of the work of the University of Waterloo takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our main campus is situated on the Haldeman Tract, the land granted to the Six Nations. That includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. Our active work towards reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, and teaching and community building, and is centralized within our Indigenous Relations Office if you are looking for more information or to do some learning of your own. I'm excited to welcome you all to today's Alumni Office Hour session featuring our alumna Melissa Trinh. And it's great to be providing more opportunities this term for our students to connect with alumni and learn about their career paths and the road they took after their schooling at Waterloo. This session will be interactive, so I'd really like to ask everyone to turn their cameras on so that we can have a great conversation with Melissa. Although she is going to share some slides and do a little talk first, so you feel free to keep your cameras off now, but when we get to the Q&A, I will invite everyone to turn your cameras off, on, sorry. So you can talk face to face with Melissa and ask her your questions about her career and her journey. So we will do that in a little bit. And also to go with that, I'll ask people to just use the raise hand function to ask questions and turn your mic on and ask your questions live would be great. And I think that's all of the housekeeping for now. So I will introduce Melissa. So Melissa is a kinesiology grad from Waterloo and currently works as an athletic therapist at a private school in Oakville with students from grades 7 to 12. She also works on the teaching educational side and with the boarding program. She does some teaching for the kinesiology class, coaches some of the middle school sports, and runs the Student Athletic Therapy Club. So that's a little bit about Melissa, but I will let you let her fill you in on her time from Waterloo to now and share any tips that you have for our students.
Great. Thank you, Jen. So yeah, like Jen mentioned, I am a grad from the UW Kin program, the Waterloo Kin program. I was there from 2008 until 2013. So I've officially left the time where I might have overlapped with anybody here. So I have a tiny presentation about kind of my career from high school towards being an athletic therapist. So I will share that with you. Do I have share screen capabilities? Okay, amazing. So, okay. Let's do this. So, well, first thing, does anyone want to raise their hand if they don't know what an athletic therapist is? I don't want to put you on the spot, but you would be more well-versed than the previous group that I did this presentation for as to what an athletic therapist is. Is there anybody that needs a little refresher? Okay, so I grabbed this picture because A, it's Waterloo, so go Waterloo. And B, this was one of my first experiences working in athletic therapy was with Laura Silva here. She's the athletic therapist with the white hat on. I was one of the student athletic therapists for the football team when I was there. So I like that because it was a little action shot. So basically athletic therapists are quick thinking, emergency care of athletes, not all the time, but that's typically our wheelhouse. We do a little bit of on-field medical care for sports or any physical activities that are happening that might have some injury risk. And then the other side of our career is working in a clinic. So similar to like a musculoskeletal physiotherapist, kind of that sports injury clinic field would be, or sorry, world would be the other half of my career. So yeah, I grew up in a small town called Kincardine on the west coast of Ontario. It's a small town, so not a lot of exposure to many careers. There's a nuclear power plant there, and that's basically where everybody works. So anything outside of that world is there's not a lot of exposure there. So when I was in high school, I actually didn't even know what athletic therapy was. I knew I wanted to work in health or in medicine, that type of field. So I thought I wanted to be a nurse. I did a co-op job in high school, or co-op placement at our local hospital. And it really was mostly long-term care there, not so much the trauma action of maybe a city center hospital. And this is where I discovered that nursing was not for me. I was not in my wheelhouse in nursing. But what I did discover there was there were physiotherapists that worked in-house, and it was like, oh, I can still work and use my health knowledge, and I can work to help people, and I don't have to see them when they're naked, and I don't have to kind of see them in that like hospital setting that can sometimes be maybe not the person's best. So nursing, absolutely a fantastic career, just not the right career for me. So that was my first time loving co-op. And I believe that everybody should do co-op, because it's for these exact reasons that I didn't go to university for nursing like I was planning to, and I ended up in kinesiology where I belonged. So one point of today, co-op, highly recommend. Okay, then from there, I decided to do a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology at the University of Waterloo. One of my co-op jobs at Waterloo was in the athletic therapy clinic on campus, working with our varsity athletes. So here I was a student athletic therapist with the groups here. And then I was also in one of the, like a co-op job there was essentially you were like an admin role, an assistant for treating, helping coordinate student athletes appointments and things like that. So that was one of my co-op terms. I actually worked there for a year. So I did 2 co-op terms with kind of like a summer. So when I was in school over the summer, I did a little bit of work in there as well. That was when I decided, okay, I think this is what I want to do moving forward, graduating. And that's what led me to apply for the Sheridan College program for athletic therapy. At the time, like I mentioned, I didn't know athletic therapy existed when I went into university. And I was always thinking, you know, I would really love to be a physiotherapist that works with a volleyball team or works with a hockey team. Like I always had this team aspect to it. And when I got to Waterloo and I was working with Rob Burns in that sports injury, I think 140, if it's still 140, perfect. It's like, this is what I've been looking for. So that's when I decided to apply to athletic therapy. You can apply to the Sheridan program. It is a bachelor degree. You can apply to it right from high school. I would say when I was there, 75% of my classmates had a university undergrad as well. And that really does set you up for more success in the program than coming right out of high school. While I was there, I had 3 placements. One at Seneca College, I worked with their fastball team and their badminton team. I then was at Appleby College, which is a private school in Oakville. And then I worked at a clinic called Alton Physiotherapy and Sports Clinic. That was more of a clinical side to the athletic therapy program, whereas the first two are more a field placement side. That clinic is in Burlington. So those were the three placements I had. Again, a little theme of kind of that experiential learning being really important to the values of education that I wanted. So, these were the teams I worked with. An amazing part about being an athletic therapist is, yes, you help them out at their lows, but you also get to celebrate them in their highs. So in that top right photo with the Appleby College hockey team, I got to win an OFSA championship when I was 25 years old. So woo, winning a high school championship at 25. The top left photo was our Seneca badminton team. They were, the couple of people there wearing medals were Canadian national bronze medalists. So the third top team in the country. We got to travel to Edmonton for that. So sunny Edmonton in February is a great spring break vacation. And then the bottom was our Waterloo football team. And I actually think I wasn't in this photo. This was the team when I was there, but I was away when they took the photo. So that was our football team that we got to work with. So after graduation, this is kind of my career timeline. I graduated from Sheridan College in 2016. So right out of graduation from there, I began working at Alton Physiotherapy, which was the placement I had in my last year of Sheridan. So that I was working as a clinical therapist with some physios. We also had massage therapists and a chiropractor. From there, I actually transitioned back to the University of Waterloo, working as an athletic therapist. I was in the private clinic that's in the bottom of PAC. So there's a clinic there for non-varsity students. So any student, community member, staff can book an appointment with a therapist there. And then since 2019, I have been back at Appleby College. I was covering a maternity leave initially. So in 2019, I started covering a maternity leave as the athletic therapist. That person has since returned. I'm still here partly as an athletic therapist and partly as a residence life don, or a boarding life don, we like to call it here. So I work part of my days in the athletic therapy world, part of it in the boarding life, and also kind of I do some teaching now. I do some coaching of middle school sports, kind of involved in all areas of school life here at Appleby. So, well, this again was just kind of as my career in athletic therapy took me to different places. Like I mentioned, I went to Edmonton, Alberta for the National Badminton Championships in March 2020. So I literally left for Argentina on March 4th, 2020. We returned on March 17th, 2020, which was the day everything shut down. I kind of had, I think, the very last normal vacation anyone could have had before everything shut down. I say normal because while we were there, obviously things were happening in the world, but in Argentina, it was a little bit delayed from other parts of the world. So we were still living a somewhat normal life. So I went there with our Appleby rugby team and we did a rugby tour across a couple of cities in Argentina with some kind of town clubs, but also school, like private schools that they have in Argentina, and did some international hockey tournaments in Lake Placid, also with our Appleby school team. And then the other thing is you get to go to and meet people from almost every university or college in Ontario as you're traveling around with your regular school schedule. So pretty cool that I get to go to all those places for work. Basically, what I want you to take from this is think about the three places I had co-op experiences in my educational journey and correlate them to the 3 places I've worked since being in university. So those co-op opportunities for me became real world job opportunities. Every person you meet, even if it's just a volunteer opportunity, they're all networking opportunities. So when this maternity leave came up at Appleby College, the person who's currently the athletic director and I, when I was a student therapist, we started in the same year. We became, I don't know, we would chat, we were friendly. And so when the job came up, immediately they thought, oh, I wonder what Melissa is up to, because I would check in and kind of keep that network relationship still alive. I wouldn't let it die out like a plant that sometimes I let die. The other one is the way I got my job after I graduated from Sheridan College was I literally asked. So I was at Alton Physio. I knew I was graduating. I said to the person who owned the clinic, would you have room for me if I wanted to work here? Is that something that you think would be possible? And against all of the inner voices, they said yes. So all I had to do was ask that one little question, and it led to me working there for 3 years. So basically, I don't want you to ever feel nervous or afraid to ask for opportunities, especially if it's a place that you enjoy working at, because if you enjoy it, they might enjoy having you there, and they might create an opportunity for you. So worst case scenario, they say no and you're in the same spot you were. Best case scenario, you get to be in a place that you want to be in. Okay, this was mostly for high school students, so I think that's all that I want to share with mine. So does anyone have any questions about that little blurb? We can move into more like talking about what my daily life is like, or what my time at Waterloo was like if you want, but I just want to ask if you have anything you want to touch back about that presentation before we move on.
I think that was some great advice that you shared there, and tips for people, you know, starting to look for jobs, even co-op jobs, like asking. I think the same thing applies, because you can always find your own co-op placement as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Asking just if you can come back for another, like your following term, if you wanted to work somewhere again. But if anyone's comfortable turning their cameras on, we can have more conversation with Melissa, and maybe you can dive into what you kind of said already. You can answer the question that always comes up eventually, is what a day looks like at work for you.
Okay. So typically my day right now starts around 9 a.m. And I have some responsibilities during the day. So the super fun 9 a.m. check is I have to go around and make sure nobody slept in. So if anybody in boarding is marked absent on our attendance list, I have to go and find them and make sure they get to class. So that's how my day starts. Then I have some responsibilities during the day. So through the school day responsibilities, so I teach middle school sport. We have that actually in the morning. Then I sometimes do class coverages, or I run a club here as well. It's an athletic therapy club. So there's about 20 students that are interested in some kind of sports medicine or medicine career. So we have a club on campus that they go to once a week. Typically, well, I guess first of all, co-curriculars are mandatory here at Appleby College. So you have to participate in something after school. It doesn't have to be sports, but it can be. It can be an art or music. It can be dance. It can be yoga. It can be fitness. It could be like a service. So maybe you're volunteering with the food bank, or you're volunteering with, again, before when we were in person, they would go to daycares or retirement communities. So co-curriculars are mandatory. They happen after school. That's when I do most of my work because I would be involved in the sports side. So we have student appointments, so they can come into the therapy clinic here if they have an injury that they want to work on during lunch. They can come in if they can't participate in their class or in phys ed because of their injury. And then they can come in after school. So really my day is kind of admin, busy at lunch, admin, busy after school. And then I have some responsibilities at night in boarding here. So making sure people are in their rooms after curfew, that type of thing. So that's one thing, is kind of the ebb and flow of the day is somewhat predictable, somewhat not predictable, because you could expect it to be really busy one lunch and not a single soul comes in. Or if you have one thing planned that you're like, oh, it won't be too busy today, it's going to be really busy. So yeah, that would be part of my regular day. Over the last 2 years, there hasn't been as many sports. So that would be another thing that takes up part of our day, is if we're hosting other teams for sports, is prepping for the game, prepping the athletes for the game. You have to introduce yourself to the coaches, show with like all of the emergency equipment, let them know where our health center is in case there is an emergency. And I have to stay for the game and observe the game to make sure there are no injuries that happen during it. We obviously have more. So we have 2 athletic therapists that work here, and obviously there can be more games than 2 people can observe. So we just prioritize those based on how likely somebody is to get injured in it. So our hockey teams might get priority over middle school volleyball or something because of the likelihood of them being injured. I do travel with the team sometimes. We haven't been traveling as much these last 2 years. And again, it would be if it's a more at-risk sport and the other school that we're sending our team to isn't covering it. I do have some work on weekends, and essentially I have the summer off. So that's the nice part about working as an athletic therapist at a school. You get the summer off. So
It's like you're a teacher, but not.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, any other things along there that you're like, oh, you might have missed this one little interesting point about a day in the life of an athletic therapist? No. You're basically there before any team shows up, prepping, and you're there after any team leaves to clean up and write any paperwork you have to write, to tie up your loose ends before you are done for the day.
So would you say like do your hours kind of meet like a standard, I don't know, 40-hour work week, or how many more hours? Like, are you working way more than that?
I definitely work more than 40 hours. Face-to-face with students might be 40 hours, but there's also like kind of an admin side of it that's more than that. I think if it was not both roles, it would be closer to 40 hours. So when I was working here as the athletic therapist and not in boarding as well, it was pretty much I would work 10 to 6 or 6:30 Monday to Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's one thing I like for sure. In the clinic, the private clinic that I was working at, I would work kind of staggered shifts. So I would work 7 to 3, or I would work 12 to 8. And it would be like Monday 7 to 3, Tuesday 12 to 8, Wednesday 7 to 3. Like I would be up and down. And then sometimes working on Saturdays. I worked about 1 Saturday a month. And I liked the more consistent hours of this shift, like of working here, or more like 10 to 6 instead of up and down, because it just helps with sleep. Working until 8 was hard because I would have to come home maybe after 8:30, eat dinner, and then go to bed. So to get up and ready for 7 a.m. the next day. So those turnovers were hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that was submitted was, is there a downside to your job?
Okay. I think there are downsides to all jobs. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to pay us to do them. So currently, the boarding life, one of the downsides is working later in the evening. I'm kind of a sleep fanatic. I really like my sleep. So some of the days I have to still be awake at 12:30 if there's anything like happening, like any students that might need assistance. So sometimes that can be tricky, is I really want to go to bed, but I'm doing my best to help support the students. An athletic therapist, the downside depends on what your personality type is. This isn't really my personality type, but you do a ton of hard work just to help somebody else get all the glory. So if you like working behind the scenes and helping others succeed, this is the right job for you. But if you're kind of the person that's like, no, I want to get the glory, maybe athletic therapy isn't for you. The other downside, and this would be with any health profession, I think, depending on what avenue you go into, there is a huge emotional side to, and like mental health side to treating people. So that can be hard to manage sometimes if you're the type of person that absorbs other people's energies and emotions. You are working with people when they're injured, which means they might be away from their usual activities that they love. They're maybe feeling depressed, maybe they're in pain. So maybe they're not the best person they usually are. And this is when you're meeting them for the first time. So that can be one thing to consider too, is you will be working with some challenging people, and working with some mental health and emotional issues. But the flip side of that is you see them at their lowest and you help get them back up to where they want to be. So that can be a really powerful relationship experience as well, is that you get to be a part of their story and getting back to who they really are. So that's one way that I find I try to take that part that's like not my favorite part and is challenging and flip it into a more positive, is like you get to help them go from that low back up to their high.
Yeah. I don't think any athlete can say that they don't remember the athletic therapist who helped them get back to their sport.
Definitely.
Speaking from example.
Yeah.
And more than one athletic therapist who helped me every time. So
yeah,
you're never forgotten. I see Kaylee's on screen, and Nina, do either of you have a question that you'd like to ask Melissa about her career? Also, anyone else is welcome to ask a question. I was just picking on people whose faces I saw. Nina, go ahead.
Hi, Kaylee. Nice to see you actually in real life.
Yeah, I remember me from...
Yeah, I do, yeah. I saw your name on the sign up. That's great.
Nice. So I was just wondering when you did you take 140L from Rob Burns, and when did you take that, and when do you start doing student trainer?
So I did take it. I took 140L. I didn't take it in my first year. I think I actually took it because I missed the boat on it the first time signing up. And that's because I used to be a pretty good procrastinator, and then I missed it. So I think I actually took it in either the end of second year or the beginning of third year. Again, it depends on, like, it's only offered in one term, I think. And then with co-op kind of switching my terms, I can't remember if I took it in second year or third year. I then became the student therapist for the women's volleyball team. And I did that for 2 years. And then I did the football team, because those seasons could overlap a little bit, because the volleyball didn't run until more like the later half of the fall. And so, yeah, I think within, I guess within half the year, I was becoming a student athletic therapist after taking that class. I also took, like, I really liked Rob's class. So I took 340. They also used to have a 341, which was like special injury, like special topics in injuries. I'm not sure if they still have that anymore. And then I took 491. So this is a while since I've had to remember some of these codes. So if they're the same, that's great. If they're not, I apologize. And then 470 is the seminar class, I think. And I did that also. Rob offered that. So I did kind of the special topics in sports injuries. And then, 491 I did while I was a co-op student with Rob. Basically, I spent a lot of time with Rob. And I also TA'd 491 when I was the athletic therapist working on campus. So I got to do 2 terms as the TA with that class. So yeah, I liked it a lot. And I'm trying to recreate that a little bit here for our students, like recreate 140 as a part of our athletic therapy club. So right now we're working on taping, and it's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. Thank you.
No problem. Can I ask you a question, Kaylee? If you don't mind being put on the spot around these other people. How are you liking your term so far?
It's pretty good.
Good.
I was supposed to take 140L with Rob this term, but it got canceled because of the lockdown in the beginning. But I'm loving anatomy.
Good.
Physics.
Who is teaching anatomy right now? Is it Tamara?
Yeah.
Nice. Amazing.
She's super cool.
She is super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Kaylee reached out. Is it okay if I share real quick, Kaylee? Cool. I was classmates with the athletic therapist that worked at Kaylee's school. And so she reached out and asked if Kaylee could ask me some questions about the Waterloo Kin program. And we kind of chatted back and forth at the end of last year. And so I'm really excited to see that you're here at the Waterloo Kin program.
Same. I saw you in like the Instagram post for the health alumni office hours. I was like, I definitely have to sign up.
Thanks, Kaylee.
That's so fun. I love that story, and I might be calling both of you for more.
Sure.
Melissa, I was wondering, I was talking to a first year student last week actually that was asking questions about being an athletic trainer, a student trainer. Do you know if there is a route to doing that without taking or before taking 140L?
Potentially. You can talk to Laura Silva. They were changing the way they do the training for the students. When I was there as the athletic therapist, or as one of them, they were kind of talking about changing the way they do it, even offering it to not only kin students, but other students on campus. And they have their own kind of like training camp that they do for the therapists. I feel like at the end of the summer, maybe like late August, to kind of prep them for the season. And they, I believe Jacqueline is still there. Do you have a point for that, Kaylee?
Actually, no, like they took out 140L as one of the requirements.
Oh, perfect.
Now it's like strongly recommended that you take it, but because it's been canceled for 2 years, they didn't.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't have anybody to get. Yeah. Okay. Jacqueline is the other therapist. She is also a first responder instructor. So they were also offering like first responder courses that you could take to become certified. So they kind of have built their own training week, and they can do this first responder. So they can kind of train you for what they need you to do for their sports teams, not necessarily going through 140L. Yeah. But the contact for that would definitely be Laura Silva.
Yeah, I didn't get the contact information of the student I was talking to about that, but she was very excited about student training, and
Mhm.
so I'm sure she went and found the information.
Yeah, perfect. Lucas, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if it's called a camera, but I was just wondering about your time at, where was it? Sheridan College. What kind of courses do you have to take?
Sure. Yeah. So Sheridan is a 4-year undergrad again. And I was lucky enough at the time that I was going through it. If you had a bachelor degree or an undergrad already, you could get direct placement into second year. So I got to skip first year, which was chemistry, biology, sports psych, English, like those kind of basic first year courses. After that, it varies by year. Anatomy is broken out into 3 different classes. So I did 1 semester of upper body, 1 semester of lower body, and 1 semester of spinal anatomy. And then actually we did a 4th one, which was like head, abdomen, and thorax. So you guys learn in 1 semester. I did over 2 years. Same thing with biomechanics. Our biomechanics was a little different. It was less formulas and numbers, and more like, if a force is on this joint, what does it do to this joint? If there's an injury in this muscle, what are the compensations at this joint? Like that type of maybe more theoretical, application than actual like numbers. What else? We had Emerge. So emergency would be almost like taking a first aid course, but I did it for 2 semesters. And we did a class called Conditions. So a lot of our semesters were paired. So I would do upper body anatomy, upper body conditions, upper body biomechanics. And then I would do lower body anatomy, lower body conditions, lower body biomechanics. Then we had a class called therapeutic exercise. So basically learning the different rehab exercises you would give for certain conditions. We had like an assessment and rehab class, which is where you basically learn how to do a sports injury assessment and how to treat it. Yeah, those are the big ones. I still had to do a little bit of physiology. I had to take some electives. The school didn't accept electives if they were too practical, or too applied. So like they wouldn't take my French that I took at the University of Waterloo because it was too applied. So I had to take some electives, which like I just really picked some general interest ones. The one thing when I was at Waterloo, I was super focused on kin and science, and I didn't take a lot of general interest to balance myself out. So I took some literature courses. I took modern European history. So I learned about Europe from the Roman Empire to the start of World War I. Just things like that. But otherwise, like your program at Sheridan is really filled with your placements. So when I was at Seneca College, I probably put in 3,000 hours of placement time. So yeah. Does that answer your question okay, Lucas?
Yeah. And
Okay,
I was just
amazing.
wondering, is it similar to the Waterloo Co-op, whereas you're on for 4 months working and then you're studying again?
That is an amazing question, because no, it is not. Basically, you go to school from 8 a.m. until at the latest 2 p.m. and then you go to your placement at the end of the day. So again, when I was at Seneca, I would go to school from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then I drive all the way to Seneca College, which is in like North York. And then I would go from practice would start usually around 5, and I would just drive over really early and just hang out at their library. And then practice would go until 10 p.m. And then I'd have to go home and start the day again. So no, they happen simultaneously, but your schedule is kind of built so you're never at school at a time you should be at placement. And then you have the summer off. So it's more like that 2 semesters, you do your school in the morning, placement in the evening, and then you have the summer off.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Nina.
Hi. Yeah, so quick question. So athletic therapy is actually something I'm really interested in,
Okay.
as well as physiotherapy. But just a question about your co-op placements. So I know you got those placements for Waterloo, which is really cool. Something I'm really interested in. So just a question about how you got that type of placement. Was that directly through Waterloo Works, or did you go a different direction, emailing coaches, athletic therapists, whatnot? But yeah, so just how you did go about getting those types of placements.
Sure. So again, like 10 years ago almost now for me. I believe Rob sent out an email to everyone who was a part of the student trainer group and asked if anyone was interested. I still had to apply through Waterloo Works, but I don't think the job posting was open to everybody. It was specifically offered to student trainers that were already a part of the athletic therapy world. And then I had to apply and interview the same way you would for any other co-op job. But I don't know if that's the same case now. I think your biggest advantage would be to go and talk to the athletic therapist ahead of time and say, I'm interested in this as one of my jobs for co-op. What can I do to have the most appealing application for you? Because definitely the athletic therapist world at Waterloo is pretty tight and pretty small. So if you can network your way into it, it would give you a more competitive edge. I think if you just blindly applied and was like, oh, like, here's this one cool thing on my resume, they'd be like, okay, cool. But if you went over and talk to them and like ask them questions and they knew who you were, you would have a much stronger application.
Cool, thank you.
Cool, no problem. Again, so when I was a therapist, Rob Burns was the head therapist and Laura was the assistant. Rob has now switched over to do more of the teaching side, and he is no longer the head therapist, and Laura is. So Laura might have different procedures now than it was when I was there with Rob, but Laura is still definitely a person that would prefer that you go talk to her in person. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No problem. What year are you in, Nina? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, I'm second year.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So yeah, they probably will look for like a 3B or a 4 age group of people for their co-op placement.
Yeah.
And so you could even ask like what type of co-op placements before that would put me in a good position to have it next time. Mm-hmm. I think partly because you do have to work with some of the varsity athletes, and I think the maturity level, I'm not saying you're not mature, but the maturity level and the knowledge base that you have in 3B and 4A is much higher. And then you could be a little more confident to work with some of the varsity athletes that you have to work with. Yeah.
Just another question also.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of brought up something as well, just because I have a friend who played on the rugby team, and he said that he said his physiotherapist was looking for students to volunteer or to volunteer for co-op at a placement there for like to assist the physiotherapist. So just wondering, did you ever volunteer like not during work term, like during co-op terms as an assistant or anything like that kind of helped you move in a better direction for your career?
Mm-hmm. I think one thing athletic therapists have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder about is people always asking you, and I think this is in all healthcare. People always asking you to volunteer your time when it really should be something you get paid for, because you're giving them skills and you're giving them knowledge that should be compensated fairly. So I don't love when people are asking even a student or a full-time employer or employee to volunteer their time for something that should be paid. So I do hope if this physio is looking for somebody in a co-op position, they should be paying you. That's my first thought. My second thought is, I think I would volunteer, like the student athletic trainer or student athletic therapist position is volunteered initially. Once you get like kind of 1 or 2 years under your belt, they do pay you a little bit. They kind of have some grants for you and your time. So initially for me, that was volunteering. I would also then volunteer with some things that like Waterloo was running. So our volleyball team that I was the student therapist with would run summer camps sometimes. So I'd volunteer for those. Or there might be like an event hosted by Waterloo that needed medical coverage, and I would volunteer for those sometimes. But yeah, my best advice is if it's something that somebody else is going to get paid for, you need to advocate for yourself and for the profession to make sure that you get adequately paid, because people will ask you all the time just to, hey, do you mind just covering this one game, like just for free? It's like, no, this is my career. I'm going to get paid for it. So I just want to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of, because that does happen in clinics like that, where they just have you come in and then you do all the work of a physiotherapy assistant, but they don't want to pay you, and that's not fair. So I think more so it would be I volunteered as a student therapist for a bit and then would do some of the different events. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, Melissa, did you ever do like, I forget what they're called, campus response team?
Oh, no, I
Or-
didn't. Okay,
I was just wondering if you're volunteering, if you were talking about something like that. Do you think something like a group like that would also be like
Yeah.
beneficial?
Yeah, definitely. If you have any that would actually set you up quite nicely, because it is in that first responder world. That would be the other thing, that if you're wanting something that really sets you apart, is have some kind of first aid certification or first responder certification. There should be student rates for you, and they offer some of those courses through the university. But no, I never did campus response. I just did kind of in the athletics world, or any of the athletics, like again, like commercial activities athletics world. So sometimes they would have soccer teams that came in and that type of thing. Yeah. Another one, Nina? Go for it.
So I actually have heard about the Sheridan program of athletic therapy. I was actually thinking about that school. But just a question regarding that, because school is a lot to handle, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to give examples of different paths you can take after Waterloo to go into something like athletic therapy, would that be like, whether that be like a master's in PT, or I don't know if kinesiology would be a master's that could benefit you to go into a career like athletic therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But just like other opportunities that you could do that could get you to the same spot you're in now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to become an athletic therapist, you have to go to an institute that is accredited for athletic therapy, for you to write the athletic therapy certification exam. So in Ontario, that is Sheridan College and York University, and that's it. So you can't become a certified athletic therapist unless you go to one of those two schools. There are other schools in the country that do it slightly differently, like Mount Royal in Alberta is 1 year and then you're done. But you have to complete the same amount of school and the same amount of placement hours in 1 year that I did in 3. So if you want to talk to somebody about that experience, one of the associate professors, Laura Williams, she went to Mount Royal for athletic therapy as well. So she has opinions about what that was like, because yes, you're done faster, but it's basically like a wild year. And then you recover after the year. Like you have no time to eat, sleep, think. It's just like straight athletic therapy for a whole year. You cannot become an athletic therapist without doing that, essentially, is my point there. Because I wondered the same thing. It's like, oh, well, I was a therapist here at the university for so long. Can't I just write the test? And you can't. You have to go to one of the schools. Physio is 2 years, a master's degree, like you mentioned. What was the other career you mentioned? Oh, master's in kinesiology. Again, it's great to have. And if any of your career goals involve teaching, you can teach at Sheridan if you have a master's. So like you could still do your master's and then do athletic therapy if you had goals of teaching. My career now, where I'm at, I don't need to have a master's. I just need to be a certified athletic therapist. Yeah. Yep. Does that answer your question okay? Yeah. Okay. If you go on the athletic therapy website, there is a little tab for prospective students or something like that, and it tells you the different accredited institutes in Canada. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
The certification criteria has changed since I was there. It's now just a test, like multiple choice test. I had to do the multiple choice test plus do a practical test. I had to do an emergency field one and then like a clinical assessment one. But they don't have that anymore. They only have the certification test and then you're certified.
Cool.
Yeah. To become a registered kinesiologist is kind of like that too. It's a certificate or not a certification test. I don't know what the test would be. So I'm a certified athletic therapist and a registered kinesiologist, which is just healthcare lingo for, is this a registered health profession or not? We can talk about that real quick if you want to, because only certain health professions are regulated in Ontario. Athletic therapy is not one of them. What does that mean? It basically is, are you or is the public protected from you or not? So massage therapists, physiotherapists, chiropractors, nurses, doctors, I know there's other ones, but those are the big ones, are regulated. Osteopaths, athletic therapists are not. And that's really just, does the government legally control your regulating body or not? Yeah. Kaylee, go for it.
Any tips for writing a resume or interview for your like first few co-op jobs, because it's such a like for health is very competitive for like a junior to get like kind of jobs?
Definitely. So I will tell you, in my 2B term, I did not get a job. And I had tons of health, like co-op experience working in physio clinics and that type of thing. And I thought for sure I would be a shoe-in to get some of these physio type placements. I know myself, I don't interview strongly, and that's something I worked on a lot. And it is super competitive for sure. And it's really hard to get that first job. I did end up getting a job so basically the school had more students applying in that 2B term than they had job placements in the kin health world. So they let us switch our terms. So I actually did my 2A and 2B back to back, and then I did 2 co-op terms back to back. So in that round, I did get a co-op job. My advice would be, and I think this is one thing I wish I did more of, is the co-op department, or like the co-op building has amazing resources to help you write resumes, help you practice for interviews. Like that's what they're there for. And that's one thing that I didn't do, was I never practiced an interview. I was like, oh, this is no problem. They're just going to ask me questions and I'll know them off the top of my head. And then I've bombed a ton of interviews going in kind of cocky like that. So yeah, don't be afraid to use some of those resources. Like the co-op department will be able to help you highlight on your resume things that will be most attractive. I would definitely say anything that you can think of on your job or on your resume that would match things in the job description, or like even word for word, like collaborates with, put that in your resume and your cover letter, like collaborates with blah, 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 works independently, blah, blah, blah. Because they'll want to see that those things match up. I think right now you're all going to have the same educational background. You're going to have the same course content. So anything you can add that is outside of those things, maybe they came from high school, maybe they come from some of your interests and hobbies, that's going to be what sets you apart.
I think there's just about that. I think it stands out to me when I hire co-op students, when you take your part-time jobs and, you know, working at McDonald's or Walmart or grocery store, wherever, but where you take the time to show me that you learned a communication skill, customer service at those types of jobs. So when you take the time to actually take those experiences you have and draw some sort of connection to the job you're applying to, that stands out a ton. When you say you worked at McDonald's and you flipped burgers and served food, doesn't stand out to me. When you say that you gained customer service skills, problem solving, those types of things, that shows me you actually thought about how what you might think is just a part-time job, but how you actually learn things in that experience, and how you're telling me how that's important to what you're going to bring to my team. So take time to like think through those things that you think like, oh, that doesn't matter. It does matter. They all matter. And your volunteer experiences, same thing. So even if it was like one time you volunteered here, but you had this valuable opportunity where you dealt with conflict or, you know, things that stand out, you know, take those all still matter. And especially when you don't have a ton of experience, work experience, those are the pieces you should add in to show that you've like learned things. But yeah, I was also just going to say, if anyone needs help with that kind of stuff, I'm happy to be a resource to any of you, just for like reviewing resumes and or connecting you to the right people in co-op. I'm always happy to help with that.
And I think, again, along those same lines, you can be 100% qualified for a job just through your soft skills. So not necessarily knowing how to use an ultrasound machine, but somehow showing that you're able to follow instructions and you're open to learning new things. That's what's going to, I guess, and again, I've hired Sheridan athletic therapists for the school here. I don't want you to tell me you know everything. I want you to tell me that you're willing to learn things from me. So it's another big thing. The employers won't want you to tell them that you're 100% qualified for this job because you know everything. They want to see that you're willing to learn something from them. So yeah. Awesome. Nina.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and just to honestly add onto that too, we have like the PD courses at Waterloo that kind of set you up for co-op as well, that actually really help you when it comes to interviewing and stuff like that. They basically prep you for applying to co-op and whatnot. And even when you're in co-op, you have to do PD courses as well that allow you to learn about transferable skills and stuff like that that can go into the real world and into other job opportunities as well. And I also think it's really important to remember that when you are in an interview, you're interviewing them as well. So go into it very confident, and just remember that you're interviewing them too. So they want you because they obviously got back to you. So just remembering that too. But yeah, just adding on to that as well. Another question for you, Melissa. Sheridan, did you attend school? Was that in Brampton? It was, okay. Do they have other placements, or is that the only placement they have of athletic therapy in Brampton?
Yeah, it's only in Brampton. It used to be held out of the Oakville campus, but maybe like 10 years ago, it switched to the new campus in Brampton. So all of my classes were at the Brampton campus, but then placements were wherever they were.
I see.
Yeah, so I lived in the west end of Mississauga, and it was about like 20 minutes at most to get to school. But I had classmates even that drove in from Barrie. Yeah, we were kind of all over the place because at some points it's more advantageous to be close to your placement. The furthest east placements ever was Durham College. And I think the furthest, actually, we used to have a Waterloo Sheridan placement. So that might have been the furthest west, and the University of Guelph. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it's only out of Brampton at the moment.
Yeah. And is the placement that you get, do you get to choose from a specific, or is that like specifically given to you?
It's a bit of both. So in second year, it was given to me. I didn't apply for Seneca. That one was just given to me. I was placed there. Then in third year, you apply, they select you and rank you. You get your option. So I got to choose between University of Guelph, Centennial College, and Appleby College. So I picked Appleby. And then in my fourth year, I found my own placement. So I said I wanted to go here, and the school said it was okay. Yeah. So a little bit of both. So it's like Waterloo too, where I'm now on the other side of it as an employer. I rank my students, and then I might not get my first choice if they don't rank me number one back. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it's kind of that pairing of who ranked what, where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay. No problem.
Awesome. Well, just looking at the time, I think we'll wrap it up for today, but great questions, great conversation. Thank you so much to Melissa for being here. I know that the students who are here got lots of great information from you, so thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Well, thank you. It was great.
And Nina needs to take a quick photo so she can do an event recap for us. So
sure.
If everyone's okay with their cameras on, I'll get her. Maybe you can give us a 3, 2, 1, Nina, and then we'll just take a quick screenshot for social,
Okay, yeah, I'll just count down to 3. Okay, or I'll count, yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. It's over with.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And what else? Kaylee, my email is jennifer.bentley@u.ca. If anyone else needs it or wants to get in touch with me. But yeah, that's it for today. We have more office hours coming up in March. I'm trying to think who our kin grad in March is a naturopathic doctor.
And she's super fun.
She is. She's really great.
Yes. I like Whitney is amazing. So definitely check that out.
Yeah. And and then if you have any other ideas of careers you want to hear about, I'm always looking to, put the people in front of you that you want to hear from. So feel free to send me any ideas you have. And I will always work to get those careers in the future. So thanks everyone. Keep an eye on your email for a quick little survey about the event. It'll probably take you all of 2 minutes, not even, to fill that out. So if you don't mind giving us feedback on today, that'd be great. And otherwise, have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for letting me talk about myself for an hour.
It was great.
Yeah,
And Melissa, just hang on, I'll just chat with you real quick.
sure.